The cowboy's wife walked away without looking back, leaving him exposed in front of everyone. Days later, an Apache woman appeared at his door and said only, "I am your new wife." The man froze, his hands began to tremble, and the entire yard fell into absolute silence. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment from which part of the world you're watching, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The screen door slammed. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet morning. Ben Miller stood in the kitchen, a chipped mug in his hand. He watched his wife walk across the yard. She carried one suitcase. It was brown and not very big. "Eliza?" he said. His voice was rough from sleep. She did not turn around. She opened the door of their old truck. She put the suitcase on the seat. "Where are you going?" Ben asked. He walked out onto the porch. The Arizona sun was already hot. Eliza finally looked at him. Her eyes were dry. They were like blue stones. "Away, Ben." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." She got into the truck. The engine coughed, then roared to life. Just wait a minute." Ben took a step off the porch. The dust was warm under his bare feet. "We can talk. We can fix this." "There's nothing to fix," Eliza said. She looked straight ahead through the windshield. "I can't do this anymore. I can't breathe here." "Can't breathe?" Ben felt a heavy weight in his chest. "This is our home. It's your home." She put the truck in gear. "It's always been your home." Then she drove. She went down the long dirt road that led to the highway. She did not look back. Ben watched until the truck was a small brown dot. Then it was gone. All that was left was the dust hanging in the air and the silence. The silence was the worst part. 5 days later, the silence was still there. It lived in the ranch house. It sat at the kitchen table. It slept on the empty side of the bed. Ben moved through his days. He got up at 6 in the morning. He made coffee. It tasted like nothing. He ate toast. It felt like dust in his mouth. He went outside to do his chores. His 2 hired hands were there. Sam was an older man. He had worked for Ben's father. Pete was young, maybe 20. They were mending a fence in the north pasture. "Morning, boss," Sam said. His eyes were kind and worried. "Morning," Ben said. He did not look at Sam. Pete nodded but did not speak. He had seen Eliza leave. Everyone had seen. The 3 men worked. The sun climbed higher. It was a dusty Tuesday. Every day felt like a dusty Tuesday now. Ben swung a hammer. The sound was loud in the quiet land. He tried to feel the work in his muscles. He tried to think only of the next nail. But his mind was empty and full at the same time. It was full of a single question. Why? He had asked that question for 5 days. He found no answers. He found only memories. Eliza laughing on the porch. Eliza planting flowers that died in the heat. Eliza staring out the window, her face still and far away. "Boss," Sam's voice broke his thoughts. "Yeah, we're gonna need more posts for this section. The wood's rotten clean through." "Okay," Ben said. "Order them." "Already did. They'll come next week." "Good." Ben wiped sweat from his forehead. His hat left a line of dust on his sleeve. He looked at the house. It looked back at him. Big and empty. A shell. At lunch, they sat in the shade of the barn. Pete ate a big sandwich. Sam ate an apple. Ben picked at his food. "You gotta eat, Ben," Sam said softly. "I am." "You're not. You're moving it around the plate." Ben put the plate down. "I'm not hungry." Sam sighed. "She might come back." Ben shook his head. He looked at the horizon. "No, she won't." "How do you know?" "The way she looked at me," Ben said. His voice was quiet. "She didn't see me at all. It was like I was already gone." Pete looked down at his boots. The young man did not know what to say. The afternoon was more of the same. More sun, more dust, more quiet. They moved the cattle to a new pasture. Ben rode his horse, Duke. The horse was steady and calm. Ben found a small comfort in the animal's rhythm. As the sun began to set, they headed back to the main house. The sky turned orange and purple. It was beautiful. Ben did not see it. He saw the dark windows of his home. He saw the empty porch. Sam and Pete went to the bunkhouse. "See you tomorrow, boss," Sam said. "Tomorrow," Ben echoed. He put Duke in the stable. He gave him fresh water and food. He brushed him down. The simple work was good. It did not ask any questions. Then he had to go inside. The house was dark and cool. He did not turn on the lights. He walked to the kitchen. He opened the icebox. There was food inside. Eliza had made a stew before she left. It was still in a big pot. Ben had not been able to touch it. He took out a piece of cheese. He ate it standing up. It had no taste. He walked to their bedroom. The door was open. He stood in the doorway. The bed was made. Eliza's side was perfect. Her hairbrush was gone from the dresser. He opened the closet. Her clothes were gone. All of them. Only empty hangers remained. He sat on the edge of the bed. He looked at the empty space where she had been. Just gone, he whispered to the quiet room. Like she was never here at all. He stayed there for a long time. The last light of day faded. The room turned dark. Ben did not move. The heavy pain in his chest was all he could feel. It was a physical thing. It made it hard to breathe. He thought his life was over. He really did. He saw nothing but empty days in an empty house, stretching out like that long dirt road. He was wrong. His old life was over. But a new one was about to walk up onto his porch. Ben did not sleep in the bed. He slept in the old armchair by the cold fireplace. The sun woke him, and his neck was stiff. He made coffee. He stared at the same wall. Outside, Sam and Pete were already working. Ben could hear the soft sounds of the cattle. He forced himself to stand up. He had a ranch to run. The day was long and hot. It was exactly like the day before. They fixed more fence. They checked the water pump. Ben spoke only when he needed to. "You boys need anything from town?" Sam asked as the afternoon light began to soften. "No," Ben said. Pete shook his head. "I'll head in then. Get those parts for the tractor." Sam drove away in his pickup truck. Ben and Pete kept working. Ben was aware of the quiet around them. It felt bigger with Sam gone. Suddenly, Pete stopped. He was looking towards the main road. "What is it?" Ben asked. "Someone's coming." Ben turned. A person was walking up the long driveway. It was not Sam's truck. This person was on foot. As they got closer, Ben saw it was a woman. She carried a small bag made of cloth. She walked with a straight back. She did not hurry. She walked right up to the edge of the porch where Ben stood. She stopped and looked at him. Ben was struck silent. She was not from Sentinel. Her skin was a warm brown. Her hair was long and black as a crow's wing, tied back. She wore a simple dress of a dark color, with fringes of leather at the bottom. Her face was calm and serious. Pete stopped his work and stared, his hammer hanging loose in his hand. "Can I help you?" Ben finally managed to say. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. The woman's eyes met his. They were dark and still. "I am Kaya," she said. Her voice was clear and quiet, but it carried across the yard. "Okay," Ben said, confused. "Are you lost? The town's back that way." "I am not lost. I am here for you. Ben Miller." Ben felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. "How do you know my name?" "I asked in town. They told me of the rancher whose wife left him 5 days ago." Ben's face grew hot. "That's none of your business, or the town's." Kaya did not look away. "I am here to help. I will be your new wife." Ben heard Pete make a small choking sound. He felt his own hands begin to shake. This was not happening. "What did you say?" "You need help. The house is empty. The work is hard for one man. I can do these things. I will be your new wife." "No," Ben said. The word came out sharp. "Absolutely not. You need to leave, right now." "I'm a good worker. I am strong. I don't care. You can't just walk up and say that. It's crazy. Now please go." Kaya simply looked at him. She did not argue. She did not move. "Did you hear me? Go on. Get off my property." For a long moment she was still. Then she gave a single, small nod. She turned and began to walk back down the driveway the way she had come. Ben let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. His heart was pounding. "Boss," Pete whispered, walking closer. "What in the world was that?" "I have no idea, Pete. No idea at all." Ben went inside. He tried to forget the woman's face, her clear voice. He tried to forget the words. Asterisk. Your new wife, asterisk. It felt like a bad dream. He made supper. He could not eat it. When Sam returned, Ben told him what happened. Sam's eyebrows shot up. "An Apache woman? Just walked up and said that?" "That's what she said." "Did she say where she came from?" "Just said her name. Kaya. Sam rubbed his jaw. Well, that's something. You sure you told her to leave? I was very clear. Sam looked doubtful but said nothing more. Night fell. Ben locked the doors. He checked them twice. He felt a strange unease. He went to the chair by the fireplace again. He listened to the sounds of the night. Crickets, the wind. He finally fell into a thin sleep. He woke with the first light. His body was sore. He needed coffee. He walked to the kitchen window to look outside. He froze. There, by the small corral near the barn, was the woman. Kaya. She was not gone. She was kneeling in the dirt next to a young calf. The calf was lying down, its sides moving too fast. It was sick. Ben watched, his hand on the curtain. Kaya was speaking softly to the animal. She had a cloth dipped in water, and she was stroking the calf's head. Her movements were slow and gentle. Ben pulled on his boots and walked outside. The morning air was cool. He walked up to the corral. "What are you doing?" he asked. His voice was flat. She did not look up from the calf. "This one is sick. It has a fever. I can see that. I asked what you are doing here. I told you to leave." "You told me to get off your property," she said calmly. "I did. I slept by the big rock near the road. This morning I came back. I heard the calf in distress." Ben was stunned. She had slept outside? He looked at her hands, still moving the cool cloth. He looked at the calf. The animal was calming under her touch. "You can't stay," Ben said, but his words had no force. "I can help," she said again. She finally looked up at him. "The house is empty. You are sad. The work does not stop for sadness. Let me help." Ben looked from her steady gaze to the suffering calf. He thought of the silent house. He thought of the tasteless food. He was so tired. He did not say yes, but he did not tell her to leave again. He turned and walked back towards the house. He did not look back. He did not see the way Kaya's hand went to a small beaded bracelet on her wrist, her fingers touching it lightly before she returned to caring for the calf. The calf was better by noon. It stood on wobbly legs and drank from its mother. Kaya stood up, brushing dust from her dress. She did not look at the house. She walked to the water pump near the barn and washed her hands and face. Ben watched from the kitchen window. He did not know what to do. He had not asked her to stay, but he had not made her leave. It was like a strange, quiet standoff. He saw her walk towards the porch. He stepped away from the window. A moment later, there was a soft knock on the door. Ben opened it. She stood there, her bag in her hand. "The calf will live," she said. "Good," Ben said. He shifted his weight. "Thank you," she nodded. "The wood on your kitchen shutter is broken. The hinge is loose. I can fix it." Ben blinked. "You can fix it?" "I have tools in my bag. May I?" He was so surprised he just stepped aside. "Okay." She walked into the house. She did not look around like a stranger. She went straight to the kitchen window. She set her bag down, pulled out a small hammer and a few nails. She examined the broken shutter. Ben stood in the doorway watching. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know," she said. She did not stop working. A few minutes later, the shutter was tight on its hinge. She closed it and opened it to test. It worked perfectly. "Where did you learn that?" Ben asked. "My father taught me many things," she said. She put her tools away. Then she looked at the cold stove. It worked perfectly." "Where did you learn that?" Ben asked. "My father taught me many things," she said. She put her tools away. Then she looked at the cold stove. "You have not eaten a real meal." "It's fine." "It is not fine. A man cannot work on coffee and toast." She opened the icebox. She saw the big pot of stew. She took it out. "This is old. It will make you sick." She carried the pot outside. Ben followed her. "What are you doing?" "It is no good anymore." She emptied the stew onto the ground far from the house. She rinsed the pot at the pump. "Do you have other food, meat, vegetables?" "In the cellar," Ben said, feeling like he was in a dream. "Good." She walked past him and found the cellar door. She came back with potatoes, an onion, and a jar of canned beef. She went back into the kitchen and began to work. Ben sat at the kitchen table. He watched her move. She was quick and sure. She did not make a mess. The room began to fill with the smell he had forgotten, the smell of food cooking. Real food. Sam and Pete came in from their work as the sun was setting. They stopped in the doorway, smelling the air. "What's all this?" Sam asked, looking from Ben to Kaya. Kaya was stirring the pot on the stove. "Supper is ready," she said simply. Sam looked at Ben. Ben just shrugged. It was the first thing that had tasted like anything in 5 days. He looked up. Kaya was watching him. "It's good," he said. It was the first thing that had tasted like anything in 5 days. He looked up. Kaya was watching him. "It's good," he said. "Real good." A very small, soft smile touched her lips. It was there and then gone. "I am glad." Pete ate 2 whole bowls. Sam ate slowly, thoughtfully. "This is fine cooking, ma'am," he said. "Thank you," Kaya said. After they ate, Sam and Pete went to the bunkhouse. Ben and Kaya were alone in the kitchen. The silence was different now. It was not so empty. "Where will you sleep?" Ben asked. The question felt too big. "The floor is fine," she said, "by the fireplace." Ben thought of the cold, empty bedroom upstairs. "No, there's a small room, down the hall. It was for guests. It has a bed. You can sleep there." She studied his face for a moment. "Thank you." She took her bag and went to the room. Ben stayed at the table. He could hear the soft sounds of her moving around. He realized he was humming. It was an old tune from a radio show he listened to as a boy. He stopped immediately. The next day, a new routine began. Kaya was up before the sun, himself talking, not about big things, about small things. "That black mare is favoring her left front foot," he said one morning. "Did you check the shoe?" Kaya asked, pouring more coffee. "Yeah, it's tight. Might be a stone bruise. Put a poultice on it. I can show you how." Later, she showed him how to make a paste from herbs she had gathered. She showed him how to wrap the mare's foot. Her hands were gentle on the animal. Ben watched her. "You're good with them. Animals do not lie," she said. "They are easy to understand." Days passed. The house was no longer silent. There was the sound of a knife chopping vegetables, the sound of a broom on the floor, the sound of her quiet voice asking, "Do you need more water in the trough?" One evening, Ben was on the porch fixing a saddle strap. Kaya sat on the steps, mending a tear in one of his work shirts. "The nights are getting colder," she said. "Winter's coming," Ben said. He pulled the leather tight. He realized he felt peaceful. The heavy pain was still there, but it was not the only thing he could feel. The next morning, Sam came back from town early. His face was grim. He pulled Ben aside near the barn. "There's talk in town, Ben." "What kind of talk?" "About her." Sam nodded towards the house. "People are asking questions. They see her with me at the store. They know she's here. They're saying things." "What are they saying?" Sam looked down. "Bad things. About you letting an Apache woman live in your house so soon after Eliza left. Deputy Griggs is doing most of the talking. He's calling her a savage. He's calling you a fool." Ben felt a hot anger rise in his chest. "It's none of their business." "It is to them," Sam said softly. "This is a small town. You know how it is." Ben did know. He looked at the house. He saw Kaya through the window, washing dishes. She was calm. She was quiet. She had brought warmth back into his life. He also saw the shadow of trouble coming. It was a dark cloud on the horizon, and it was moving closer. Ben started going to town alone. He told Sam to stay at the ranch with Kaya. He did not want her to hear the whispers or see the hard looks. One afternoon at the feed store, Deputy Roy Griggs was there. He was a big man with a red neck. He stood too close to Ben at the counter. "Miller," Roy said. His voice was loud. "Here you got a new hired hand, one that sleeps in the house." Ben kept his eyes on the clerk weighing the grain. "That's my business, Roy." "Everything in Sentinel is my business," Roy said. He adjusted his belt. "Keeping the peace, making sure folks don't get strange ideas. An Indian woman in a white man's house? That's a strange idea." Ben turned to face him. "Her name is Kaya. She helps. There's no law against that. There's laws against trouble, and she's trouble. You mark my words." Roy leaned in. His breath smelled of tobacco. "Your wife ain't been gone 2 weeks. People are talking. They're saying you got no respect for Eliza's memory." Ben's hands clenched into fists. "You don't ever say her name to me, you understand?" Roy smirked and took a step back. just looking out for the town's morals, Ben. Someone's got to. Ben paid for the grain and left. His whole body was tight with anger. That night, the air in the house felt heavy. Ben sat by the fireplace, staring at the flames. Kaya sat in a chair across from him, mending another shirt. She had been quiet all evening. "The deputy came to see you today," she said. It was not a question. Ben looked up, surprised. "How did you know?" "Sam told Pete. Pete looked scared when he came in for dinner. And you have been angry since you returned." Ben sighed. "His name is Roy Griggs. He's saying things about you, about me." "What things?" "Bad things. Lies." Ben poked at the fire with a stick. "He's trying to stir up trouble." Kaya put the shirt down. Her fingers went to the small beaded bracelet on her wrist. She touched it gently. "This trouble is my fault. I brought it to your door." "You didn't make him a hateful man," Ben said. "He was that long before you got here. But I am the reason it is pointed at you now." She was quiet for a long time. The only sound was the crackle of the fire. "Ben, there is something I must tell you." Her voice was different, softer but full of a new weight. Ben looked at her. Her face was serious in the firelight. "I did not come here by accident," she said. "What do you mean?" "I came to Sentinel for a reason. I asked about the ranchers. I asked who lived alone, who was lonely. They told me about you, about your wife leaving. I chose your ranch." Ben felt cold. "You chose it? Why?" "Because I needed to stay in this town. I needed to be close. A lonely man with a big empty house. It was a way in. A place to stay while I looked." "Looked for what?" Ben asked, but a part of him already knew. "For my sister." Kaya's eyes were on the fire, but she was seeing something else. "Her name was Elon. She was younger than me, full of laughter. Many years ago she came to Sentinel to work. She got a job cleaning houses for some families here." Ben listened. The pieces were starting to fit together in a way he did not like. "She wrote me letters," Kaya continued. "She was happy. Then, in one letter, she said she had fallen in love. She was in love with a rancher. She did not say his name. She said he was kind and young. Then, the letter stopped." Kaya took a slow breath. "My family came to look for her. The people in town said she ran away. They said she probably went to California with the rancher. But they did not know his name. It was a story that did not make sense. Elan would not run without telling us. She would not just disappear." Ben's throat felt tight. "And you never believed it?" "No, I never believed it. For years I waited. I hoped she would come home. She never did. So I came here, to find the truth myself." Ben stood up. He walked to the fireplace and leaned on the mantel. "So I was... what? A convenience? A lonely man you could use to get a roof over your head?" Kaya flinched at the word use. "Yes, at first. That is the truth. I saw a man who was hurting. I saw a way to help that would let me stay. I am sorry for that." The anger mixed with a strange hurt in Ben's chest. "All this time, the cooking, the fixing, the quiet, it was just part of your plan? To find your sister?" "It was how I was raised," she said, her voice firming. "To be useful, to earn my place. The help was real, Ben. The food was real. But the reason I came, that was real too. And it was not for you." The words hung in the air. Ben felt foolish. He had started to trust the warmth. He had started to feel something again. Now it felt like a trick. "Did you find anything?" he asked, his back still to her. "About your sister?" "Nothing firm, only whispers. Fear. When I ask older people in town, they look away. They change the subject. One woman, Mrs. Evans, she started to cry and asked me to leave her house. There is a secret here. I know it." Ben turned around. Her face was honest and full of a pain he recognized. It was the same heavy pain he carried for Eliza. It was the pain of losing someone and not knowing why. "You should have told me," he said, but the anger was fading. "I know, but would you have let me stay?" Ben thought about it. He thought about the first day, the sick calf. He thought about his own hollow heart. "No," he admitted, "probably not." "I am telling you now," she said, "because the deputies hate. It is not just about me being Apache. I feel it. It is about something else, something old. I think he knows what happened to Elon." Ben looked at this woman. She had used him, but she had also saved a calf. She had filled his quiet house with life. She had made stew that tasted like food again. "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay?" she asked. "I'll help you," Ben said. "We'll find the truth for your sister." Kaya's eyes filled with tears. She did not let them fall. She simply nodded. "Thank you, Ben." He did not know what they would find. He did not know how deep the secret went, but he knew he could not let her face it alone. Not anymore. The next morning, over breakfast, they made a plan. "We need to ask questions," Ben said. "But careful. People here don't like outsiders poking around." Kaya nodded. "I have spoken to some of the older women, the ones who might have known Elan. They are afraid." "Then maybe we talk to people who aren't afraid of Roy Griggs," Ben said. "Or people who might have a reason to dislike him." Their first stop was Old Man Henry's hardware store. Henry had known Ben's father. He was not a talker, but he was fair. Ben bought a box of nails. He made casual talk about the weather. Then he said, "Henry, you've been here forever. You remember an Apache girl coming to town to work? Oh, maybe 15 years back? Name was Elan." Henry's hand stilled on the cash register. He did not look up. "I don't recall." "She was my friend's sister," Kaya said softly, standing a few feet away. "We just want to know what happened to her." I said I don't recall. Henry's voice was final. He took Ben's money and handed him his change. His eyes flicked towards the front window, as if checking who might be outside. They left. "He remembers," Kaya said once they were on the wooden sidewalk. "He's scared," Ben said. Their next stop was the small post office. The postmistress, Alice, was a kind woman who liked gossip. Ben hoped she liked sharing it too. "Afternoon, Alice," Ben said. "Ben Miller and, company." Alice smiled, but it was tight. Her eyes darted to Kaya. "We're trying to find some information about a young woman who lived here a long time ago, named Elan. She might have gotten mail here." Alice's smile vanished. She busied herself with some envelopes. "Can't discuss people's mail, Ben. You know that. Even if I did remember, which I don't." "Alice," Ben said, leaning on the counter. "This is important. Her family needs to know." Alice looked at him, her eyes pleading. "Please, Ben, just leave it be. Some things are best left buried, for everyone's sake." She turned and walked into the back room. They were standing outside the post office when Deputy Roy's patrol car rolled to a stop right in front of them. He got out slowly, filling the sidewalk. "Miller, out for a stroll with your helper?" Roy said. "We're not causing any trouble, Roy," Ben said. "Aren't you? I hear you're asking questions, stirring up old dust." Roy's small eyes shifted to Kaya. "That's what your kind does. Brings trouble. Goes digging where you don't belong." Kaya met his gaze and said nothing. "She belongs where I say she belongs," Ben said, his voice low. "And asking after a missing woman isn't a crime." Roy stepped closer. He was so close Ben could smell his sweat. "It is when it disturbs the peace, when it gets people nervous. I'm telling you once, Miller, drop it. Take your Indian and go back to your ranch, or things might get unpleasant." "Is that a threat, Deputy?" Ben asked. "It's a friendly warning," Roy said. He smiled, but it was all teeth. "From a friend who knows this town, you keep digging, you're gonna find something you wish you hadn't." He got back in his car and drove away. Ben let out a shaky breath. Kaya's hand was on her bracelet, her knuckles white. "He knows," she whispered. "He knows something," Ben agreed. The fear in the townspeople's eyes, Roy's anger. It was more than just prejudice. It was guilt. "We need to look somewhere they can't see us." "Where?" Ben thought. He thought about the vast land around Sentinel, places a secret could be kept. "The old canyon, west of here. It's BLM land, rough. Nobody goes out there anymore. If something happened in town, that's where they'd take it." Kaya just nodded. The decision was made. They drove out in Ben's truck later that afternoon, telling Sam they were checking fences. The road to the canyon was just 2 ruts in the desert. The truck bounced over rocks. The canyon was a jagged red cut in the earth. They walked along the rim. The wind whistled through the rocks. It felt lonely and sad. "What are we looking for?" Ben asked. "A place that feels wrong," Kaya said. Her eyes scanned the ground, the rock walls. a place that is not natural. They walked for almost an hour. The sun was starting to go down, painting the canyon in long shadows. Ben was about to suggest they head back when Kaya stopped. "Here," she said. It was a small side gully, partly hidden by a fallen boulder. The ground was different. While the rest of the canyon floor was hard-packed dirt and rock, this spot was a patch of looser, darker earth. Something had disturbed it, long ago, and nothing had grown there since. Ben felt a cold dread in his stomach. He didn't want to look, but he saw Kaya's face. It was pale, but set with a grim determination. He went to the truck and came back with a shovel. He didn't speak, he just started to dig. The dirt came up easily, too easily. He hadn't dug very deep at all when the shovel hit something that was not a rock. It made a dull, hollow sound. Ben knelt. He brushed the dirt away with his hands. His fingers touched something long and smooth, a bone. He looked up at Kaya. She had her hands pressed over her mouth. Her eyes were wide with horror and grief. He dug more, very carefully. More bones were revealed. The remains were small. They were laid flat. This was not an animal. Kaya sank to her knees beside the shallow hole. A low, painful sound escaped her. It was the sound of a hope dying. She reached out one trembling hand but did not touch. She just let it hover over the bones of her sister. "Ilan," she breathed, "I found you." The truth was here. It was not a story about running away. It was this, a shallow grave in a lonely canyon. Ben stared at the bones, his own heart pounding. This was murder, and someone in Sentinel had done it. Kaya knelt in the dirt for a long time. She did not cry out loud. Her tears fell silently onto the dry earth. Ben stood back, his hat in his hands. He felt like he was intruding on a private grief. Finally, Kaya sat back on her heels. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Her voice was thick when she spoke. "We must do this right. We must take her home." Ben nodded. "We need something to wrap her in." He went to the truck and found an old horse blanket. It was clean. He brought it back and laid it out carefully beside the grave. With gentle hands, Kaya began to lift the bones. She placed each one on the blanket with a reverence that made Ben's throat ache. He helped, moving slowly. The sun was almost gone now, and the canyon was full of purple shadows. As Kaya brushed dirt from a final cluster of small bones near where the chest would have been, her fingers touched something that was not bone. It was small and hard. She picked it up and held it to the fading light. It was a bracelet, a tiny, delicate thing. It was made of tarnished silver. A single small charm hung from it. Ben lit a match to see better. The charm was in the shape of a little horse. On the back of the charm, words were engraved. The match flickered as Ben brought it close. 2 words were etched into the metal. Asterisk, for Benjamin. Ben stared. The world seemed to tilt. The air left his lungs. "Benjamin," Kaya whispered. She looked from the bracelet to Ben's face, which had gone white as chalk. "This name, it is your name." Ben could not speak. He could only stare at the tiny bracelet in her palm. A cold understanding began to flood him, piece by terrible piece. Elan, the rancher she loved, a young rancher. Asterisk Benjamin. Asterisk. No, he breathed. It was not possible. But it was. Memories he had buried came rushing back. A summer festival in town, a long time ago. He was young, maybe 20. He met a girl with laughing eyes. She was Apache. Her name was Elan. They talked, they walked. It was a secret. He knew his father would never allow it. It lasted only a few weeks, a few stolen moments. Then she was gone. The town said she ran away. His own father told him to forget her, that she was not for him. Ben, heartbroken and obedient, had tried. He had never known. He had never known about a baby. "It was you," Kaya said. Her voice was full of awe and a new, sharper pain. "You are the rancher. You are the one she loved." Ben sank to the ground. The weight of it crushed him. I didn't know. Kaya, I swear I didn't know. We were so young. It was secret. Then she vanished. They said she left. She was carrying your child," Kaya said, putting the pieces together. "She must have been. This bracelet, it is for a baby." Ben looked at the small bones they had just lifted. He felt a sickness so deep it was physical. "The baby, was it?" Kaya shook her head. No. These are the bones of a woman, an adult. There is no child here. She looked at him, her eyes searching his. What happened, Ben? Think. Ben's mind raced, touching a memory he had locked away. His father's stern face, a trip to Phoenix that came out of nowhere. His father was gone for 2 days. When he returned, he was grim. He told Ben never to speak of the Apache girl again, that it was over, that it was a mistake. My father, Ben said, the words tasting like ash. He was a hard man. He cared about the family name, about this land, an Apache daughter-in-law, a mixed-race grandchild. He would have seen it as a stain, a shame. You think he knew? Kaya asked. He must have, Ben said, a horrible certainty growing. Elan would have come to him, to tell him about the baby, to ask for help. He saw it in his mind, his father's cold rejection, the arranged trip to Phoenix. He gave the baby away. He must have. He found a home for the child in secret. Then someone else heard Elan. Kaya held the tiny bracelet tight in her fist. So I have a nephew. You have a son. Somewhere. The words hit Ben like a blow. A son. He had a child. A boy who would be 15 years old now. A child he never got to hold. A child whose mother was murdered. Grief for Eliza had been a heavy stone. This was a mountain falling on top of him. It was grief for a woman he once loved. Grief for a stolen child. Grief for the life he never knew was his. He looked at Kaya. Her sister was the mother of his child. The world had twisted into a shape he could not recognize. I am so sorry, he said, the words hopelessly small. For everything. For not knowing. For my father. Kaya was silent for a long moment. She looked from the bones of her sister to the man who loved her. Her mission was complete, and it had broken in a way she never imagined. You did not bury her here, she said finally. Her voice was tired, but not accusing. You did not give away your son. Your father did those things. And Roy Griggs, he did the worst thing. He took her life. She reached out and put her hand over his where it rested in the dirt. Her touch was firm. We have the same enemy now. We have the same loss. Ben turned his hand and gripped hers. The connection was solid, real. In the middle of the crushing pain, it was the only thing holding him up. We will take Elan home, he said, his voice stronger. Then we will face Roy, and then we will find our son. Kaya nodded. Together they finished wrapping the bones in the blanket. They carried Elan's remains to the truck. The truth was out of the ground now. It was in their hands, and it would change everything. They buried Elan the next morning on a quiet hill overlooking the ranch. Kaya said prayers in her own language. Ben stood beside her, his hat over his heart. It was a private ceremony, just the two of them. When it was done, they stood in silence for a long time. She is at peace now, Kaya said softly. She is not lost anymore. Ben nodded. He could not find words. His mind was a storm of grief and confusion. A son. He kept thinking those words. They did not feel real. They walked back to the house. The weight of their secret was immense. They knew about Roy Griggs. They had proof of a crime in the silver bracelet now tucked in Ben's pocket. But they had not decided what to do next. As they stepped onto the porch, they both saw it at the same time. A car was coming up the driveway. It was a dusty sedan, not a truck. It was not from Sentinel. Ben felt a knot form in his stomach. Kaya moved to stand slightly behind him, watching. The car stopped. The driver's door opened. A woman got out. For a second, Ben did not recognize her. She was thinner. Her strawberry blonde hair was longer and tangled. She looked tired, worn down. Then she turned, and it was Eliza. Ben's breath caught. He could not move. He felt Kaya go very still beside him. Eliza looked at the house. Then she looked at them on the porch. Her eyes moved from Ben's shocked face to Kaya, standing there in her simple dress. A flicker of pain crossed Eliza's features. She looked back at Ben. "Hello, Ben," she said. Her voice was raspy, not like he remembered. "Eliza?" The name felt strange in his mouth. What are you doing here?" She took a few slow steps forward. She moved like every step hurt. "I didn't know where else to go." Ben came down the porch steps. He stopped a few feet from her. He could see the details now, the dark circles under her eyes, the way her clothes hung loose on her frame. "You're sick," he said. It wasn't a question. She nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "Yes." "What's wrong?" "It's inside me," she said, her hand drifting to her stomach. "The doctors say it's cancer. They say I need treatments, a lot of them." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I thought leaving would feel like flying, Ben. It just felt like falling. And then I got sick. And I was so scared. And I was so sorry." Ben stared at her. The wife who had driven away without a word. The woman who had broken his heart. Here she was, broken herself. Kaya came down the steps then. She did not speak. She just stood, a quiet presence. Eliza looked at her. "You're her, the woman they're all talking about in town." "I am Kaya," she said, her voice even. "I see," Eliza said. She looked back at Ben, her tears falling now. "I guess you didn't waste any time." "It's not like that," Ben said quickly. But he didn't know how to explain. How could he explain any of it? "It doesn't matter," Eliza whispered. "I don't have a right to be angry. I left. I had nowhere else. Can I come in? Just for a little while?" Ben looked at Kaya. Her face was unreadable. He looked back at Eliza, so small and ill on his driveway. The man he was 5 days ago would have taken her in without a thought. But he was not that man anymore. "Yeah," he said, his voice heavy. "You can come in." The house felt different with 3 people in it. Eliza sat at the kitchen table, her hands around a mug of tea Kaya made. Ben stood by the counter. Kaya stood near the stove, giving them space but listening. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Eliza said, looking down into her mug. "I just need a place to rest, just for a few days, until I figure out what to do." "You can stay," Ben said. The words felt automatic. "Thank you." She looked up, her eyes moving between them. "It's warm in here. It feels lived in. You fixed the shutter." "Kaya fixed it," Ben said. Eliza nodded slowly. She looked at Kaya. "You've been taking care of things." "I have helped," Kaya said. An awkward silence filled the room. The air was thick with unspoken words, with past hurts and new, complicated truths. "I'll get your bag," Ben said, just to have something to do. He went outside to her car. When he came back in, Kaya was showing Eliza the small guest room. "This is where I sleep," Kaya said. "You can have it. I will sleep on the floor in the front room." "No, I couldn't," Eliza said. "It is decided," Kaya said in a tone that allowed no argument. She gathered a few of her things from the room. Ben watched them, this strange exchange. His former wife, the woman who had become his partner in uncovering a terrible secret, both under one roof, both looking to him but in completely different ways. He felt the baby bracelet heavy in his pocket. He thought of the bones on the hill. He thought of Deputy Roy's threatening face. And now Eliza, sick and scared, was back. The quiet tension in the house was a living thing. It was a knot of 3 sad hearts, each with their own pain, tangled together in a way no one could have predicted. The storm was no longer on the horizon. It was inside the walls. The news spread through Sentinel like a grass fire. Eliza Miller is back. Deputy Roy Griggs heard it at the diner. His fork froze halfway to his mouth. "What did you say?" Old man Henry shrugged, sipping his coffee. "Seen her car out at the Miller place this morning. Looks sickly too. Whole thing's a mess. Now he's got 2 women under one roof. An embarrassment." Roy put his fork down. His appetite was gone. Eliza being back changed things. She was from here. People would listen to her. If she started believing Ben and that Indian woman, if she started asking questions about the past, he saw it all crumbling. His position, his respect, everything. He drove out to the Miller ranch that afternoon, but he didn't go to the house. He parked on a high ridge and watched through binoculars. He saw Ben and the Apache woman, Kaya, repairing a fence together. They worked in easy silence, passing tools without speaking. He saw Eliza come out onto the porch wrapped in a blanket. She watched them. She didn't look angry. She looked sad. Roy saw the way Ben looked at Kaya. It wasn't the look of a man who was just being helped. It was something else, something solid. A deep, panicky rage boiled up in Roy's chest. They had found something out at that canyon. He knew it. And now with Eliza here, they would feel stronger. They would go to the sheriff. They would tell everything. He couldn't let that happen. At the ranch, the tension was a third person at the table. Eliza was trying to be helpful, but she was weak. She tried to wash dishes and dropped a plate. The sound of it breaking made everyone jump. Let me, Kaya said quietly, moving to clean up the pieces. I'm sorry, Eliza whispered. I'm so clumsy now. It is just a plate, Kaya said. Later, Ben was in the barn checking on the black mare's foot. Kaya came in. The deputy was here today, she said. He watched from the ridge. He did not come to the house. Ben straightened up. He's getting scared. He is dangerous when he is scared, Kaya said. We must tell the sheriff about Elon, now, before he does something worse. Ben nodded. Tomorrow. First thing in the morning, we'll drive into town. We'll take the bracelet. We'll tell them about the grave. That night, a hard wind started to blow. It rattled the shutters Kaya had fixed. None of them slept well. Ben was the first to smell it. Just after 3 in the morning, he sat bolt upright in his bed. Smoke. He ran to the window. An orange glow pulsed from the direction of the barn. Not just the barn, the dry hay shed next to it was already a tower of flame, and the wind was hurling fire towards the main house. Fire! He yelled, pulling on his boots. Everybody up! Fire! He ran downstairs. Kaya was already at the door, pulling it open. The heat hit them like a wall. Eliza! Ben shouted. I'm here, she cried, coming down the stairs, her eyes wide with terror. The animals, Kaya said, her voice calm but urgent. We must get them out. They ran outside. The world was noise and heat and choking smoke. The barn was not fully on fire yet, but the wall closest to the shed was burning. They could hear the horses screaming inside. Ben and Kaya ran for the barn doors. Eliza, get to the truck. Move it away from the house, Ben yelled. Eliza instead ran to the water pump and started filling a bucket. Ben threw open the barn doors. Smoke poured out. Get the horses, he coughed. He and Kaya charged inside. The air was thick and hot. Ben found Duke, his eyes rolling white with fear. He grabbed his halter and pulled. Kaya let out 2 other panicked horses, slapping their rumps to send them running into the night. Pete and Sam came running from the bunkhouse, shouting. They started forming a bucket line from the pump. In the chaos of swirling smoke and dancing shadows, a figure stepped out from behind the burning shed. Deputy Roy Griggs. He held a rifle. Miller! He roared. Ben turned, shielding his eyes from the heat. It ends tonight, Roy shouted, raising the rifle. You should have left it buried. Kaya stepped in front of Ben. You killed my sister, she yelled, her voice cutting through the roar of the fire. Roy swung the rifle towards her. She thought she was too good for me, just like you do. Eliza dropped her bucket. She saw Roy point the gun at Kaya. Without thinking, she picked up a piece of firewood from the stack near the porch. She ran at Roy, bringing the wood down hard on his arm. The rifle went off, the shot cracking into the sky. Roy yelled in pain and surprise, turning on Eliza. He backhanded her, sending her sprawling into the dirt. Ben let out a raw shout and lunged at Roy. They fell together, grappling in the hot dirt at the edge of the inferno. Roy was bigger, but Ben was fueled by a pure, blinding rage. For Elon, for his son, for Kaya, for Eliza. He got his hands around Roy's wrists, pinning the rifle down. They rolled. Roy's face was a mask of sweat and hate. You're ruining everything, he snarled. Kaya ran to help Ben, but Sam got there first. The old rancher brought the butt of his own rifle down on Roy's head. Once, twice. Roy went still. Ben scrambled up, breathing hard. He looked at Kaya, then at Eliza, who was pushing herself up from the ground, her cheek already bruising. The sound of sirens cut through the night. The town's volunteer fire truck was finally coming up the driveway, lights flashing. Ben stood over the unconscious deputy. He reached into his pocket and took out the tiny silver bracelet. He held it up so the dancing firelight glinted off the engraved words, Asterisk for Benjamin Asterisk. The truth is out, Roy, Ben said, his voice hoarse from smoke and emotion. It's all out now. The fire trucks left at dawn. The barn was a black, smoking skeleton. The shed was gone. The air smelled of wet ash and burned dreams. Deputy Roy Griggs was in a cell in town, under the watch of a very grim Sheriff Dawson. Ben had handed him the tiny silver bracelet and told him where to find Elon's grave. Now, in the gray morning light, they surveyed the damage. Sam and Pete were already salvaging what they could. Ben's face was smudged with soot. His hands were raw. Eliza came out of the house. She had a small bag in her hand. The bruise on her cheek was dark against her pale skin. She walked up to Ben and Kaya, who were standing near the water pump. I called a friend in Phoenix, Eliza said. Her voice was quiet but clear. She's going to let me stay with her. She can drive me to my treatments. Ben looked at her. You don't have to go. You're sick. You need help. I do need help, Eliza agreed. But I can't get it here. She looked between them. I saw it last night, in the fire. You two, you move together. You fight for each other. You didn't even have to speak. Kaya looked down at the ground. I thought coming back would be like slipping into an old, comfortable shoe, Eliza continued, a sad smile touching her lips. But the foot has changed. The shoe hasn't. Or maybe it's the other way around. It doesn't matter. This isn't my place anymore. Eliza, Ben started, but he didn't know what to say. He felt a deep ache, but it wasn't the same desperate pain from when she left. It was the ache of an old wound finally being cleaned out. You love her, Eliza said. It wasn't an accusation. It was a simple fact, spoken with a tired acceptance. Ben looked at Kaya. Her dark eyes met his, full of a shared sorrow and a shared strength. He didn't need to say it out loud. Eliza saw the answer in his face. I know you do, Eliza said. And I see the way she looks at you. It's real. It's the real thing I was always running around trying to find. And it was here the whole time, but it wasn't with me. She shifted her bag to her other hand. I'm not the woman for this life, Ben. I thought I was, but I'm not. I'm the woman who paints secret pictures and gets scared and runs away. You need someone who stands firm, who faces the fire. Literally. Kaya spoke then. You were brave last night. You helped. You fought. I was scared, Eliza said. But for once, I didn't run. Maybe that's a start. She took a deep breath. I have to go and face my own fire now. This sickness, I have to do it alone. I need to learn how to be alone without being lonely. Ben nodded slowly. He understood. I want you to be well, Eliza. I really do. I know, she said. Her eyes filled with tears, but they didn't spill over. I'm sorry for all the pain I caused. Leaving like that. It was cruel. I was just so scared of disappearing inside this ranch, of becoming a ghost. Instead, I made you one. You didn't, Ben said. Not anymore. She stepped forward and hugged him. It was brief, and it was a goodbye. She turned to Kaya. Take care of him. He's a good man. He just forgets sometimes. Kaya nodded. I will. Eliza gave them one last look, at the burned barn, at the land, at the two people standing together in the morning light. Then she turned and walked to her car. Ben and Kaya watched her drive away. The dust settled behind her. This time, her leaving did not leave a silent hole. It left a quiet space, a sad but necessary peace. Ben felt Kaya's hand slip into his. Her fingers were cool and strong. He held on tight. She is stronger than she thinks, Kaya said. So are you, Ben said. They stood there for a long time, holding hands, looking at the work ahead. The past was buried. The truth was known. The woman who had been his wife had gone to find her own peace. The woman who was his future stood beside him, her hand in his, ready to rebuild from the ashes. The sound of hammers filled the air for 3 weeks. Ben, Kaya, Sam, and Pete worked from sunup to sundown. They raised the new barn. It was slow work, but it was good work. They did it together. One evening, they sat on the porch of the main house. The new barn stood strong against the twilight sky. It was finished. Sam drank from a glass of water. She's a good barn. Better than the old one. Thanks to you boys, Ben said. And Kaya. Kaya shook her head. It was everyone. Pete yawned. I'm for bed. That last beam did me in. He and Sam said goodnight and walked to the bunkhouse. Ben and Kaya were alone on the porch. The sky was wide and darkening to a deep blue. The first stars were coming out. It feels different, Ben said. The ranch. It is different, Kaya said. It is yours now, truly yours. Not your father's, not a place you share with a ghost. It is yours to make new. Ben nodded. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out the small silver baby bracelet. He held it in his palm, the tiny horse charm dangling. He's out there, Ben said quietly. My son, our nephew. Kaya looked at the bracelet. He is 15 years old now. He may not know he was adopted. He may have a good family, a happy life. I know, Ben said. I think about that. I don't want to break another family apart. I don't want to cause more pain. But you want to know, Kaya said. It wasn't a question. I have to know, Ben whispered. The weight of it was still there, but it was no longer a crushing stone. It was a purpose. I have to know if he's okay, if he's safe. I have to be able to tell him about his mother, about Ilan, that she loved him, that she didn't abandon him. Kaya put her hand over his, the bracelet between their palms. Then we will find him. We will look. We will be careful. We will not force ourselves into his life if it is not right. But we will find the truth. For Ilan. For you. For him. Ben looked at her. You would do that? After everything? You would help me find my son, when finding your sister brought you so much pain? Kaya's eyes were soft. It brought me you. It brought me this home. The pain is part of the story now. It is not the end of the story. Our story has a new page. This is what we write on it. Ben felt a warmth spread through his chest. It was a feeling he had not known for a very long time. It was hope. So where do we start? He asked. In Phoenix, Kaya said. That is where your father went. That is where he would have arranged things. We will look for records. We will ask quiet questions. It may take a long time. We have time, Ben said. He looked out at the land. His land. Their land. The ranch is strong. Sam and Pete can manage for a few days at a time. We can make trips. We can search. It is a good plan, Kaya said. They sat in a comfortable silence. The night settled around them. It was not the empty silence of before. It was a full silence, full of understanding and shared resolve. After a while, Kaya spoke. I will need to go to the reservation first, to see my family, to tell them about Ilan, to tell them about you, about us. Of course, Ben said. I'll go with you. She smiled. It was a full, real smile. It was like the sun coming out. I would like that. Ben stood up and held out his hand. She took it, and he pulled her up. They stood together on the porch, looking at the future. The past was behind them, settled. The pain was not gone, but it was woven into the fabric of who they were now. It made them stronger. He was no longer just a lonely rancher. She was no longer just a woman seeking answers. They were partners. They had faced fire and lies and loss. They had found truth and a fragile, powerful love. Ben put his arm around Kaya's shoulders. She leaned into him. Tomorrow, he said. We'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow, she agreed. Above them, the Arizona sky stretched out, endless and forgiving, dotted with a million bright stars. It was not an ending. It was a beginning, and they would face it together.